Hello, welcome back to Blender and SVerchok. In this episode, I want to make a comparison between Blender and its parallel to Feather 3D app. So I have a setup here that you might have seen before in the past. I'm using SVerchok, working with grease pencil, and to create the wall. And on top of that, I actually have grease pencil that's kind of being drawn on the wall itself, but it's kind of like a freeform format. So let me show you how it works. So basically, the grease pencil over here, the one on the top, is the one that's being used to create this maze of wall using SVerchok and grease pencil. Okay, so this is the wall, and as a result, SVerchok will actually draw this on the fly. And on top of that, I'm drawing this crazy doodles, and with grease pencil, of course, you have a lot of you have the ability to draw multiple layers and multiple strokes, and also each of the strokes have different material, and you can actually change the material on the fly. Okay, let me delete this grease pencil for now. So currently we just have this grease pencil, and we can draw the wall very quickly, just like if you are doing it using freeform, which I will show you in a minute. I will create a new document. And okay, so this is freeform, actually Feather 3D, and at the start we have like a blank canvas. And the way it works, normally you draw the wall or you draw the canvas like a reference stroke. Okay, so if you go to the, for example, to the top view, and you draw like a free lines like this, you are actually drawing like a wall, and you can quickly draw something on top of the wall, which is pretty interesting. It's very strange kind of workflow at first, but once you get used to it, it's very interesting. So we have the canvas reference that looks like a wall, and we draw strokes. And if we delete the reference, we lost it, right? However, we don't really lose everything. We actually still have like a stroke reference. For example, if you want to continue drawing on the previous outline over here, we go to the top view, and then if for example I want to draw more on here, on this line, I just draw another wall on that area, and yeah, and it's continue to paint. For example, just gonna fill that canvas. So just gonna quickly scribbles there. I actually kind of really like this kind of workflow. Delete the canvas, and okay, this time I will draw like a long stroke connecting those two, and this time I just use different color, and you can call this like a, what is this, like another 3D therapy? Yes, maybe. No, but it's actually, you can do a little bit more. I really like this workflow. There's limitations if you are comparing this with Blender, but the Blender one also can be improved in terms of if the developer is looking at this and they want to improve grease pencil. So with Feather 3D app here on the iPad, once we finish doodling and deleting the reference wall, it's completely gone, right? We cannot save the reference wall, and normally the reference wall also need to be drawn as a single stroke, I think. So anyway, you have these floating 3D objects now. You don't have the wall anymore. The nice thing about Feather 3D, of course, you can, for example, if I draw this wall, I draw another wall, and I want to paint something with like a mirror. Yeah, it's maybe I don't know, like creating like a, not like a tunnel, like a kind of like a decorative things that you can walk. maybe like I don't know, I think, yeah, if you're like inside an exhibition and you want to create that people can walk inside the circle, that kind of thing. Okay, another interesting thing here, you can actually select this wall or reference wall, and then you can use this joystick, just move it around. I think that's one of the feature that I really like with Feather 3D. Once you've done that, the joystick is actually really cool. It's adding this extra way to quickly maneuver your 3D objects without being lost. So yeah, and with Feather 3D, you see that each stroke is not like material, unlike grease pencil. So you can quickly change the color, and then each stroke is, even though it has its own material, you probably cannot change the material as quickly as Blender. However, if you're doing like a quick paint, and yeah, and then you have this and you just want to export it out, it's there's a like smoother workflow in that case. One thing that's really cool also with Feather 3D, you can actually tap on that tools on the right top there, and then you have this different stroke so if you're drawing a stroke like a circle, if you hold it, it's gonna turn it into perfect circle, which is really interesting also. This is something that maybe Blender grease pencil can actually take as an idea. Really, the way I think of it is like with Feather 3D, because it's freeform, you can quickly draw like a reference plane, right, like that, and back to paint tool, and then you draw something on top of it. So it's always like that, draw the reference wall and then paint on it. This one is a very advanced reference, and currently we cannot save this reference wall. I wish we can, maybe in the future of Feather 3D app, but we can quickly make a doodle and then bring it into Blender, right? So for example, I don't know, I just want to paint something very quickly. This very crazy scribbles. Okay, let's see. I'm happy with this. I might send it to my computer. So select this, export as GLB, export, waiting to export. Just send it to my iMac. Let's get back to Blender. Now we have this grease pencil set up. Remember, I go to edit mode, hit tab, delete everything, and go to draw mode and draw stroke. Okay, with Blender and grease pencil, at least with this setup that I use, that I created using SVerchok, I can have multiple stroke. Okay, that's one. And this works because grease pencil goes inside SVerchok here, and we have these nodes. We have this control over the sampling of the stroke to create the wall reference, and vector interpolation, UV connections, and extrusion. We can create this wall. If you feel a little bit fun, you can randomize the size of the wall. Yeah, and I don't know, you might think, okay, yeah, SVerchok is a little bit weird in this case. You need to split this. Oh, I forgot, but there is a way to, so that you can have this like a uniform wall. Anyhow, once you have the wall, you can then extrude this geometry using Blender Solidify, so you have a real wall. File save. So now Shift A, create a new grease pencil blank, and we can start drawing on top of this wall. So make this full screen. I turn stroke placement into surface and then make this offset 0.0004 for example. So with Blender now we can draw on the wall. And of course, grease pencil in Blender is something that can be animated. So when you draw something, you can actually keep this wall, just create a duplicate of it. Each of grease pencil strokes have its own material. So if you draw something with black like this and just write something, I don't know, just cannot think of anything right now. You are actually like drawing it on the wall, just like Feather 3D, but the wall is actually solid. In this case, we can use a different pen. Remember, each strokes is actually just like an outline, so it doesn't have any solidity. If you turn off the wall, it's just like a floating things. So you need to actually draw something. You need to paint something. I will create a new material. And yeah, just like Feather 3D. I like both actually. With Feather 3D, of course, I can carry it with my iPad because it's a native iOS or native iPad OS app. It's also available on the web if you have a different tablet. With Blender, the nice thing, of course, when you're drawing this, you can increase the stroke distance from the wall. So the next time you draw a new stroke, this will actually showing up on top of the red color. If you don't like this red color, it's too strong, you can change the color. So each material is a different, yeah, each stroke is a different material. That's actually, there's a benefit on that, but also the disadvantage is that you cannot change the color very quickly, just like on the Feather 3D. But you can always combine the two. I don't know, let's see, let's bring our creations earlier. Okay, so this guy, actually the one that comes with Feather 3D actually have material, and the material itself is some kind of custom color that you can bake. You can bake this out. Yeah, this is like a separate thing, but however, if you remember how you start working in Feather 3D, remember I show you how we draw the wall from the top view. We can use Blender and we can continue use that as a reference. Yeah, actually, yeah, I probably made a bit of mistake there. I think because I enabled the, so I have to select this drawing tools again, draw mode, maybe go to edit mode. I have to delete this one. delete the points, go to draw mode, turn this to back to the origin, go to top view, because this is like a free form way to draw things. Get back to surface now. Hopefully we can have the new wall. So grease pencil, we select the, we have to select the we have to select the correct layer. Grease pencil 001, okay. Anyhow, we have the wall now, so we can continue drawing. Grease pencil with the material, the new material. So we are still on the same reference that we draw earlier using Feather 3D. Okay, except for this one, the one that we draw on the donuts, it's actually have like some kind of 3D-ness on top of it. So I think with Feather 3D in the future, maybe they will allow import of 3D objects, so we can actually draw on that reference. While in Blender, maybe there should be the way that we can make strokes with different color very quickly on the same material, and then that's using like a custom vertex color. Anyhow, so if you use the workflow, if you use like this Feather 3D app, you can actually bring it into VRLand. I like using VRLand. Here I already logged into VRLand. I want to bring the creations using Feather 3D inside this virtual space. Takes a while. Okay. Okay, allow. Imported and uploaded the Feather 3D GLB into VRLand. Let's wait a little bit. There you go. Okay, everything appears black because it doesn't seem to read the vertex color properly. I have a feeling we need to bake the vertex inside Blender first in order to get the color. But our creation is there. There we go. So the idea is just to show you that we can quickly create some things like inside Feather 3D or using Blender grease pencil. This kind of workflow, like freeform, draw a quick freeform canvas and then just draw strokes on top of it, or maybe in the future like placing image reference. That's also a feature that I like to see inside Feather 3D. In Blender, of course, you can just import image and then just drop it here. There's a one missing feature in Blender where you cannot have a wall like this, and you just want to project like a sticker on top of the wall. That's also it could already exist as an add-on. So it's really simple idea. You want to have like image plane and you just want to project it into the wall. You can do it using modifier, but that's like extra step. I want to have like a fast way to quickly doodle things in 3D. So yeah, in Blender, if you want to do it just like Feather 3D, you basically draw a stroke, you create the wall reference, and you update it. Yeah, this is the stroke, right? Oh, actually I draw it on the different canvas. I should select grease pencil number 1, and then I draw the wall or the stroke, just like Feather 3D. So that's at least how my brain thinks. And then we switch to the second, select the second grease pencil, and then go to the draw mode, and we can doodle some graffiti. So in Blender, grease pencil is a grease pencil object. In order to render this, you need to convert it into curve. Okay, so that's also something to keep in mind. But with grease pencil, remember, you can actually animate this guy, which is super interesting. And I believe if you are actually using VR, this is something that could be done also much easier. But once you are in VR, it's a little bit harder to bring it out. So some kind of ability to go inside the VR space and then back to the desktop mode is needed. And this is like a kind of how I like the, if we have like a freeform 3D, I don't know which platform will have that freeform 3D. I like to be able to do this very quickly. So like a little bit like Feather 3D, a little bit like Blender grease pencil, being able to draw animations for every strokes, and then yeah, just draw the wall, save it as a reference. We can hide it if you want to, but yeah, that kind of flexibility is needed for 2D and 3D artists, I think. So I don't know, I think maybe VR already have it, I don't know, but I don't want to work in VR all the time. I like to be able to bring it back into Blender, for example, or into Unity or Unreal. Anyhow, that's the presentation for today. So hopefully you find this useful. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.